水生好，今天我们会练习谈天气 chapter or lesson 21, talking about weather, 谈天气. So let's just review some vocab really quick. This is the 天气, the weather. Just make a note of that for you. The weather, very nice. So just a couple words that we're going to use. 刮风, windy. 下雨, rainy. 晴天, clear. Sunny out, clear. 阴天, which means cloudy or overcast. You could also say 多云, which means a lot of clouds. And finally, 下水, which means snow. 水 is snow, 雨 is rain. 下 means to come down, so 下雨, 下水 is the verb, to be raining, to be snowing. We'll also want to keep in mind the 温度, the temperature. We have hot, 热, 太热了, and 冷, 太冷了. And then finally, the four seasons. 四季, the four seasons. And we'll just go in order here. We have 春天, 夏天, 冬天, and 秋天. Spring, summer, winter, and fall, of course, or autumn. Comparisons. Two types of comparisons. The first type is 一样, and the second is 比, and we'll talk about how to use each one. So first with 一样, there's a couple different ways you can do it. So if everything you're talking about is alike, we're going to have the noun phrase, and then we're going to have 都一样. If two things are together, we're going to have noun phrase 1, 跟, or 和. You can use either one. Don't use both. Pick one. Noun phrase 2, 一样. And then if two noun phrases are alike in some way, if you're going to use an adjective, for example, you're going to throw it on the end. So same thing. Noun phrase 1, 跟 or 和. Noun phrase 2, 一样 with the adjective. So let's see a couple examples using this. Those are the three patterns, though. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. We have 一年4个季节的天气都一样. What does that mean? So that's saying the weather in all of the seasons, in all four seasons, are the same, which may or may not be true depending on where you live. In Boston, it's definitely not true. The second one, 在波士顿12月和1月一样冷. Or I could also use 跟. I said 和, but 跟 is the same thing. Again, only pick one though. This is saying that in Boston, December and January are just as cold, equally as cold, which is usually true. Right here, now we have a question. Watch how simple the questions are. 春天和秋天一样舒服吗? Is 春天 and 秋天 just as comfortable? Nice weather out? And then finally, number 4, another statement. 冬天的天气和夏天的天气不一样, which is definitely true, at least in Boston. The summer weather and the winter weather is not the same. So here are a couple examples using 一样, 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 一样. And we'll practice these tomorrow. The second type of comparison we're going to be doing is with 比. And here's how we're going to use 比. If one noun phrase, 比 is going to be used to compare quantities. So if one noun phrase has more of something than the other, we're going to use noun phrase 1, 比, noun phrase 2, adjective. If one phrase has a lot more of something, we're going to do 的多 at the end. And to say that it has a little more than something, we're going to do 一点 at the end. And whatever phrase you put first is one with more. Let's check out some examples. 冬天比秋天冷. This means this, 冬天 winter, in comparison to 秋天, the spring, is colder. Definitely, the winter is colder than the spring. Here we have Boston 比 Miami 冷得多. Boston is much colder than Miami. Right? Again, the cold, because we're talking about cold, the colder one goes first. We're comparing cold, the one with the most cold, the most quantity, goes first. Here's something different, no weather here. 这本书比那本书贵吗? Is this book more expensive than that book? Again, this one we don't know which one's more expensive, but we're assuming this one is. So this one's more expensive than that one because we put it first in the phrase. And finally, Maine 比 New Hampshire 冷一点. And that's probably true. Maine is always a little colder than New Hampshire. It's a little further north. Okay, so there's a couple phrases, examples with 比, and tomorrow we're going to practice this with the yang and 比. But right now, why don't we try two quick examples? So in this, I want you to compare her and her. If you want to give them names, you can. If you just want to say her, that's fine. And in the second one, I want you to compare him and him. In this one, I want you to compare their height. And they're exactly the same. So I want to say they're the same. And for this one, I want you to use 一样. For this one, I want you to compare their weight. And as you can see, this guy has a little bigger waist. So I want to compare their weight and say that this guy is bigger or fatter. Okay? Just remember, we're talking about height here, so we're going to use the word 高, which means tall or high. And this one we're talking about weight, so we're going to use the verb 胖, fat. So which one's fatter? And this one I want you to use 比. So go ahead and try these in your notebook. Pause the video if you want to. Write these down, and tomorrow, as soon as we walk in, we'll go over these in class, okay? So just these two questions. See you guys tomorrow. 明天见，再见。